Good afternoon, friends. Welcome to Coffee Break. This is Dr. Michele. It's November. Magandang hapon, magandang araw, magandang gabi. I hope that you are doing well. It's the last 2 months of 2021. I missed you last week. I paused for a while in doing this coffee break, but I'm back for this week and the succeeding weeks to be able to just chit chat with you, connect with you, and able to, and hopefully support you in whatever you need, whatever topics that we would be wanting to really talk about. So join me for the rest of this session. Uh, Join me for the rest of the session here at Coffee Break. Oh, we have maaga si Car Manuel. Hi, sis Car at si Charm. Okay, so I would like you to look into how you've been, because I think we've been talking about well-being, we've been talking about our mental health, we've been talking about relationships, and that's what Coffee Break is for. I would like to invite you to actually probe deeper and look into where you are right now, because I've been looking for good topics that would really hopefully minister to you, hopefully speak to you. So, gusto kong explore natin yung hopelessness and how do we overcome it. Parte ba ng buhay yan? Parte ba ng buhay ang hopelessness? Nangyayari ba talaga sa atin yan? And what really takes place in our head, in our system, in our psyche, whenever we have this sense of hopelessness. So, friends, I would like you to join me and let's discuss, share this to family and friends. Yes, thank you, Jing. Thank you for saying na timely yung topic. Alam mo, parang nung nakita ko to, I was really inspired na, okay, this is a topic that we really need. Almost the end of the year and we're still here in the middle of the pandemic, of course, in this country. But then, do we still keep being fixated with the negativity that's happening around us? And how can we actually move out of it? So this afternoon, what I'm going to talk about, it's what hopelessness is about and ano yung possible triggers and the factors affecting it. And then on Thursday, as usual, I always do this, how can we actually get out of the situation? So are you ready, friends? I would like to ask you, syempre, I would like to ask questions, magtanungan tayo. What really comes to your mind at what are your common feelings whenever there's a situation that you feel that lunod na lunod ka na and you're so hopeless that you cannot see the end in sight. Okay? I would like you to really consider what happens to you. Anong nangyayari sa'yo? What happens to your head? What happens to your heart? Let's be honest with each other, because if we're not going to objectively look into ourselves, if we're not, we're gonna fake it that we're going through something, sabihin natin na, hindi, kaya ko naman eh. Yes, kaya mo nga, but to what extent? And the more that we delay helping ourselves, before we know it, we just might be too flooded already, and I hope we are at the bottom of hopelessness, and katabi ni hopelessness, friends, it's one of the indicators of depression. So I would like us to look into that. I would like us to actually reflect. So what happens to you? What's in your head? What's in your heart? What do you feel, aside from like Car, you're calling your friends? Thank you for doing that. What happens to you when hopelessness happens? Okay, I would like to wait for your answer. Anong nangyayari sa inyo, friends? So mga nandito na't nanonood, si Car, si Charm, si Jing, anong nangyayari sa mga nag-i-engage? And those of you who are just lurking, well, hindi siya lang, Car, let's quantify that. Hopelessness and severe continuous hopelessness may be one of, but not the indicator. It's not just the indicator. Magkaiba siya in our language when we say indicator. But it's one of the possible symptoms. Possible. There are other symptoms that needs to be completed. So kailangan yan sama-sama. So somebody here is saying, Isa, gusto ko lang matulog ng matulog. Oo nga eh, yan yung napagod ka na ba sa katutulog? I think that happens, no? Ako honestly, I've been through this situation, and ang nararamdaman ko when this happens to me is parang nakakapagod naman na umiyak, so gusto ko lang nakatanga. I have to say that na parang I don't wanna move, parang stoic lang. Ayoko na may maramdaman, parang ayan na, yan lang yung nangyayari sa'yo. Yan lang. Stunned. And just there. Not really there. Not really physically present, but emotionally too drained, and the mind is actually too drained also. So what is really hopelessness? No, tingnan natin what's hopelessness. Hopelessness is the state of lack of optimism. State of lack, kaya hopeless. State of lack of optimism. And there is the tendency for somebody who is in this state that they they have this inkling or belief that uh, they cannot respond, they lack the ability to respond to the situation. So it's a state of hopelessness, or is this hopelessness is the lack of optimism, belief that there's that inability to cope and to handle the situation. And I think what we realize is that gusto ko yung word na inability to respond. Inability to respond. Di ba ang hirap? Like, wow, hindi ko na kaya yun. Or di ba minsan masasabi, nasabi nyo na ba to ever? Pagod na ako, hindi ko na kaya. Di ba? Kahit naman yan in our daily life, sometimes that happens, that hindi ko na kaya. And we feel that saan pa ako kukuha ng lakas just to be able to respond to the situation. So look at that. Have you been there? Have you been on that point of that you have no more optimism, no more positivity, kahit na people around you are telling you to be grateful, to think about the good things, and then parang natawa naman ako dito, Mama Aileen. Kahapon, sinabi ko lang yan. Ayan, tama, Carpagoda, Philippines. Hi, Noreen. Yes. And then parang, because of that feeling of optimism na nothing seems to work, what happens to us is that we also feel that, hey, I'm not capable. Hindi ko kaya. Pagod na akong kayanin pa. 'Di ba? Parang pagod na rin akong maging resilient. Yan. Masasabi natin yan. It's been considered by research that the frequent feeling, madalas na nararamdaman of failure, bad outcomes, and then we don't feel capable of changing them, results to the feeling of hopelessness. Yung, yes, para, ayan, pwedeng maging desperado na. Tama naman yan. Sasabihin mo nga minsan, buti na lang maganda tayo kasi talagang kahit na paano pagod na. Tama ka, Car. So, minsan, and look at that. Frequent feeling of failure and bad outcomes. Yung feeling mo, everything that you put your hands on, everything that you think about, everything that yung diskarte mo, and ang pinakamahirap, circumstances. Kasi sometimes, circumstances, events, they're actually so beyond us. Kaya tayo nararamdaman natin na hopeless kasi wala tayong magagawa. Everything is external to us. But in reality, if it's internal to us and we have something that we can do about it, mas madali, 'di ba? Kasi may magagawa tayo eh. Pero pag ang labanan ay external, labanan ay parang calamity type levels of a situation in life. Parang mga twist and turns ng buhay. So, we feel that we are a victim of circumstances. We tend to really fall into the trap that, hey, what's happening here? What is happening here? I need to see that this failure, this bad outcome is giving me that feeling that I lack capability. And then at the end of the day, at the end of the tunnel, andun ka na pala sa dulo. Yung bang you just would like to keep holding on, you just would like to keep doing something about it, but you're exerting too much effort in doing remedy, maybe managing the situation. I hope that you're getting what I'm pointing to, ha. And then before you know it, there's that feeling of hopelessness. So sometimes we don't catch it, right? Have you been there that somebody needs to tell you na parang, hey, parang wala ka nang makita, and I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why nangyayari yan. But before that, honestly, the hopelessness is triggered by so many things. And imagine the things that happened to us the past year. It can actually trigger a lot of hopelessness. Kahit lahat tayo na nakikinig dito, I know at one point or another. Let me know if you agree. Tell me if that's you, that's me. At one point in the past year, or maybe in the past lockdown, there's that feeling of hopelessness that's eating us up, because actually that feeling anxious, lonely, burnout, dikit-dikit yan sa sitwasyon natin ngayon. Yun yung possible na nangyayari sa atin. And come to think of it, feeling anxious, loneliness, and burnout, that's actually also triggering the hopelessness, or hopelessness is being triggered by these things. And yeah, Tin, thank you for admitting, because ako really early this year and late last year, this is really where I was. And I'm not gonna be mayabang, but in all honesty, I've been sharing things with you here in coffee break, pero I'm not excused also with the difficulties of life. And many times, if you see yung mga nangyari sa atin pre-pandemic, in this pandemic, is that there's death, there's loss of work, there's loss of finances, there's difficulty with the financial life of the family, and also there's of course health concerns for many. Tell me kung ano yung sa inyo, kung ano yung possible trigger of hopelessness, if you can. Bakit ba itong naman si Doc masyadong kailangan sabihin namin? Because actually admitting it and writing it down here, it's actually maybe healing, it's actually maybe cathartic, it's maybe capturing those in words what you're saying. Also, relationship struggles, marriage difficulties can actually be triggers. Also, even the work from home situation, that you feel so trapped, and then wala ka pang magawa because you're also managing your kids. So those things, if you see it, sa sobrang dami, lalo na kung nagdikit-dikit ang mga pangyayari mo sa buhay, di ba? Sobrang daming ganap, sobrang daming hanash, that you cannot actually get a grip of life. Have you been there? That continuous feeling of hopelessness can actually make you fall deeper and deeper. Kaya as somebody here mentioned, it's an indicator. No, it can be a precursor. It can be one of the symptoms that we might or possibly fall into depression, and can affect the quality of life, because people who are in a depressive state really lacks hopelessness. So I need you to reflect about this. Where are you here? Nangyari ba to sa inyo? Nangyari ba to sa inyo? Alin dito yung talagang nag-magnify? Thank you. Thank you, sister, for sharing that. Last lockdown really got me, plus relationship issues pa. Totoo yan. Ako rin, I think getting through a lot of work and burnout personally, and then I have to confront some issues that I need to confront. Nagdikit-dikit din. And the thing is, we are not in the normal times that before, whenever difficulties happen. I think that, and even in the researches that I'm reading, hindi hindi siya before, we don't normally have this, but because it's the pandemic and the quarantine situation aggravated it, because we're not wired this way. And also, it adds up that we're mostly home. Madalas natin home, and then we cannot do the normal activities that we are used to doing. So somebody here is saying returning OFW, starting over again. Yes, a lot of adjustment make you feel hopeless, lalo na kung nag-a-adjust ka ngayong pandemya. Even though that they say that it's the new normal, still, friends, alam nyo, nakaka-apekto talaga. So what I would like you to consider, Yeah, I know what you mean, Ria. I can't find meaning in the things I'm doing. And being away from husband, I feel you not knowing when we'll be together again. Yeah, that's the reality. So what is that big factor that contributes to the feeling of hopelessness? Isa lang yung major na i-discuss ko. Isa lang. Because some can trigger it, but can actually, pag nahuli natin yung sarili natin dito, that will be very helpful. And we call it the negative interpretation bias. Can you say that with me? That is the negative interpretation bias. Do you have an idea? Tinan nyo yung mga words, negative interpretation bias. Pag nakita natin na isang bagay na mali, lahat ng nakikita natin mali. Or since to the tendency to jump to one negative thing after another. Okay, tendency to jump to one after another. Are you considering that negative interpretation bias? So look at it that way, that here, the interpretation bias is that we are jumping to one conclusion after another. Kumbaga, ito rin yung sinasabi ng iba na nag-overthink. Nag-overthink tayo. And look at it that way. The more that it's hard to actually get a grip, kaya tayo nalulunod sa thought patterns pa lang in overthinking, it's because of this interpretation bias, that we interpret things differently, we interpret things in a different context, and usually the context is that it's all negative. Hindi, for example, the reaction of somebody you're working with may not be beneficial to you or may not be helpful. And then because you're no longer feeling okay, because maybe of grief, maybe of loss, you feel that, hey, this person is attacking me. So anything that the person will do might be, you sense that it's an attack to you. So are you getting what I'm saying here? So mahirap siya na what is important is for us to catch ourselves that ito yung nangyayari. Ito yung nangyayari. And the interpretation bias is that we need to check if that's the repeatedly, yung one thought after another na nagle-layer sa utak natin. Take note of my word, nagle-layer at saka itong interpretation dito, ito mali na, mali. So here, you need to check that if it's already leading to other things, ini-expect mo may mali, ini-expect mo there's something wrong with the situation, or the tendency is to become very pessimist and fatalistic. Yung one layer, one level, one thing connects with the other. So, kumbaga, isang portion lang yung inamag, feeling mo nilaso na yung buong tinapay. Are you getting me? So, feeling mo dahil doon sa kinain mong maliit na portion na yon, you will get sick. So here, it's actually the negative interpretation bias. It's actually a root of many overthinking, many concerns that we may be encountering. So I need you to really consider this. Sorry. I really need you to consider this. Is there ever a time that you encounter that? Is there ever a time that you encounter that? Yung nalunod ka na sa sarili mo, para nalunod nalunod ka ba sa thoughts mo? Nalunod ka sa thoughts mo, kaya nagkaroon ng bigger problem. So we need to recognize that the more there is negative interpretation in our daily routine. So in everyday life, the challenge that I'm going to give you, since it's layering one after another, it's pulling one after another, what I need you to realize is that stressful events can pull that. Stressful events can layer that. Stressful events can add to that. And let's just be practical. It becomes so toxic. So here, if yung one thing lead events, relationship, our projects, we always look into the negative consequences of it. It's actually harder for us to get out of it. So here, the more there is a negative interpretation in our daily routine, so imagine, sa araw-araw na ginawa ng Diyos, the emotional tone of your life, the emotional tone of how you do work and everything, it's always difficult. Please consider that it may be a sign of hopelessness. Okay, last point. I would like you to reflect about this. I'll just give me 1 minute. So, sorry friends, I just need to manage something. May nawawalang delivery, sorry. So here, um, I would like you to reflect. Can you just try to catch yourself in one of those negative interpretation bias moment? Did you ever have that situation? Nalunod ka na sa feeling of hopelessness. Did you ever have that situation? And I may not be there with you, but I would like you to capture it. Ready? So, ready friends? Kung meron na, please check. Meron na ba? And then let me know if you're ready. So, let's try to dissect it one by one. So, tingnan natin friends ha. Tingnan natin. So, one by one, let's check. So, let me know if you're ready. Just press hard, press the like button if you're ready to talk about it, to talk about that interpretation bias, or let's ready to dissect one issue that you have. So here, as I said, think of that time when you are in the peak or at the bottom of hopelessness. So remember, ready. So kung meron ka isang sitwasyon na nandun ka sa bottom, parang lunod ka na. So I would like you to relieve, sorry to say this, I would like you to relieve what exactly you're feeling and what are the thoughts that comes to you. Ano yung mga thoughts at ano yung mga naiisip mo na nangyayari sa'yo. Okay? I would like you to relieve that. I would like you to think about that. And I would like you to think about the situation, the interpretation surrounding the experience. Okay? So there is this one situation, you're at the bottom already. I would like you to reflect about what are the interpretations. So this is the situation that made you feel hopeless, and there are accompanying interpretations. So two things that you would think about, the situation and the interpretation. And all those interpretations are actually in our heads. Minsan, they are actually subjective. Wala naman nangyayari eh. Walang issue eh. Pero sa utak natin, issue na. Wala namang disagreements, pero there are a lot of voices in our head. And come to think of it, it is actually brought about by patterns. It can actually be brought about too many things that happen to us at the same time, maybe in the past. It's a product of our programming. Are you with me? So these interpretations, it's affected by so many factors, so many things. And that situation that made us feel hopeless, it's not the end of it. It is because that feeling of hopelessness, okay, the situation may be the stress itself, and the interpretation that's coming from mostly our thoughts and our negative feelings, it's actually adding it up. Adding up, that is actually what we call, it's becoming the stressor. So, I would like you to think about those interpretation. What are the realities? Ano talaga yung nangyari at alin dyan yung imaginary? Are you getting it? So there are two things. You're looking at the situation and in the interpretation. The situation are facts. Yan yung totoong nangyari. Interpretation, kung ano yung naisip mo, kung ano yung sitwasyon. And I would like you to reflect about that too. But please do check what are the realities and the imagery or imaginary matters na nakakabit dun sa interpretation. Meron ba? Because chances are, the negative interpretation bias, kaya tayo nalunod and we feel hopeless, it's because of the what if, the shoulds, the should be, the imaginary things, because we fail to really recognize na, teka lang, it's actually a struggle inside me. Nag-struggle sa loob natin, lalo na in our heads. Am I making sense, friends? Nakita ba natin yung sitwasyon na to? And friends, if we are in the middle of a very hopeless situation, what we need to do is actually learn to step back. Because when we're there, stepping back allows us to catch ourselves in jumping to conclusion. Diba? Ito nga yung, wag na tayong mag-assume. Kasi the more we assume things, naku, baka, naku, marami ng nalunod dahil sa baka. Maraming nalunod dahil sa akala na nag-assume. So here, if we are starting to be flooded by all this, we need to learn to step back and catch ourselves. So from the situation, check the interpretation and do not jump to conclusion. So there, somebody saying here, I need to step back. Yes, so there's one thing that I'll tell you now. To end this session, so we'll continue on Thursday. Here, we need to pause. Pause in the middle of a difficult situation. Minsan ang ginagawa natin, tuloy-tuloy lang tayo. Nilulunod natin sarili natin, ayaw nating harapin, kinakalimutan natin, okay lang yon. Pero, ayun, gusto ko yung input mo, Jing. Masakit i-relieve. Realizing ang daming thoughts and actions na dapat na iwasan. Yes, and if we pause, it's actually putting a boundary between the situation and the interpretation. Parang, ito na yung nangyayari. Oh my God, wait. I did not say stop altogether. Kaya I love the word pause. That's why I have a program called Martha's Pause. That temporary pause, that temporary putting the pause button, hitting the pause button will be very crucial and can be very, very helpful. Why? Pausing in the middle of hopelessness allows us to be more objective. It allows us to get out. Maybe we don't totally get out of the hopelessness, but it can actually be a tool for us to recalibrate our steps, because our goal here at the end of the day, that moment of pause can actually help us to take care of our mental health, take care of our mental well-being. Kung ayaw mong malunod, humawak ka muna sa gilid. Diba? Just like in swimming, if you know that you cannot go through it and nalulunod ka na kasi alam mong malalim, so humawak ka sa gilid. Tama na muna. Alam mong you're getting flooded already. Alam mo na parang, teka, hindi ko yata kakayanin na makarating sa kabila. So if you know how to swim, yes, you are able. But at that moment, maybe you're tired. Maybe there's so many things going and then you cannot focus. Pause. Can you all say that with me, the people here, the 55 people who are watching, can you put there in your chat, pause. In times of hopeless feelings, when a state of hopelessness, pause. And pausing, as I said, allows us to be more objective. It allows us to recalibrate and it allows us to pray. Pause, Lord, teka lang, ano pong gagawin natin? Lord, ba't ganito? Lord, ang daya mo naman. Maybe you're gonna rant with the Lord. Maybe you're gonna say, oh my God, Lord, what's really happening? Friends, it may be good, but it's actually putting that that boundary between the situation and our interpretation. That pause, it's putting that, wait, teka lang, hindi yung sitwasyon, hindi ito, it's not the situation, it's not your interpretation, it's not all the situation, and it's not all the solution. Are you getting it? Hindi yung sitwasyon, it's not equivalent to your interpretation, and it's not equivalent to your solution. So putting that moment of pause will actually help us to pause, to recalibrate, to retract our steps, and to pray. So, what is that making sense, friends? If there's one word that you really, really love, that really resonates with you this afternoon, what is it? Can you put that in the chat? Kung meron kang isang bagay na naintindihan at na-unlock ngayong hapon na ito, can you put that in the chat? Yes. Thank you, friends, for joining me here at Coffee Break. I will just have some announcements. I would continue with this topic on how can we actually help ourselves. Thank you, Jing, for capturing it beautifully. Allows us to objective, recalibrate, and pray. Yes, thank you. Okay, friends, I would really promote the Feast Conference. It's coming already this November 19, 20, and 21. I'm blessed to be one of the speakers of that life-changing the Feast Conference. So if you would like to have more of these topics, more of about our faith and our lives, our finances, and various areas of our lives, join us at the Feast Conference. It used to be the Brother Bo Sanchez Kerigma Conference. The Feast Conference, of course, it's a virtual conference. It's happening on November 19 for 3 days, and I'm sure it's going to be a 3 days full of blessings. Yes, it's paid. The regular tickets for 30 days, 1 week access. I know that's 3-day live conference, pero meron kang access for I think 1 week. It's $9.99, and then you're going to really be blessed. I'm going to be one of the speakers. I'm going to talk about something that I really love. It's about hobbies for healing and well-being. And I would like to invite you, friends, if you are also interested, you may also get this year the devotionals, the feast devotionals, and if you're interested to get my books, The Beauty of 40 and Family Goals, The Beauty of 40 and Family Goals, you may consider it for Christmas gifts to friends and family. Either you directly message me to buy signed copies, or you can actually just press the button and add to cart in Lazada and in Lazada and Shopee via Feast Books. So that's my via Feast Books. So if you would like to get this along with other books, you check out Feast Books either in Lazada, Shopee, or in feastbooks.ph. And lastly, I hope that you can also support the work that I do here at Coffee Break by sending stars. Yes, ay hindi na ako mahihiyang to tell you that really putting up this live stream has cost. And if you would like to support me in the mission that I do, if you're learning and being blessed with the things that I share, I teach you, you may also send stars. That's the digital gift here in Facebook. So you may send stars, and if you're interested to send via GCash, or to send support via GCash or via bank account details, you can just send a direct message to me so I can give you the full details. And lastly, friends, I hope that you join me on Thursday, because let's go over how can we overcome hopelessness. And if you are being blessed with a Coffee Break, aside from sending stars, which I really hope you do, you may also share this to family and friends. You may also quote me in the things that I share here. Because also, I would like to announce that this is the work that I do for corporations, for schools, and I really do trainings, and I really do speaking engagements to talk about these things, many of the things that I talk with you about in Coffee Break. So that's about it. I hope that you can join me on another episode and the part two of Overcoming Hopelessness on Thursday. Have a happy afternoon. God bless. And I hope that you check your state by doing just a moment of pause for your mental health. Magandang araw.